Hi, my name is Fernando Bretos. I'm Director of Museum Volunteers for the Environment based at Patricia and Philip Frost Museum of Science. We're working today with the county in the city of Miami here on Virginia Key North Point. And through a joint program, we were able to purchase plants and organize all of the volunteers that came out from today from Apple, from Yelp, a village of Key Biscayne. And so it's a really cool partnership because we're able to bring together the plants and the volunteers and do the outreach, and the county does a lot of the really heavy lifting here, which is moving all these dredge around and invasive plants. And so we've planted over 500 native plants today on the site. You can see all these little plants growing all over the place. Those were done by volunteers. And the beauty of this project is that volunteers can take full credit for the work they've done. And we invite people back, especially residents of the village of Key Biscayne, to check this place out because this is all the work of volunteers.
Hi, I'm Shelley King, and I'm the coordinator for Museum Volunteers for the Environment at the Patricia and Philip Frost Museum of Science. So for us, volunteers can come once, they can come many times. We don't require a commitment. We love it if volunteers come back again and again, of course. But if volunteers want to just come once and plant trees with us, we're more than happy to have that happen. Volunteers who keep coming and who show a continued interest in the project, we normally sort of push them into a mentorship role. So some of those volunteers were here today as well. They've been volunteering with us for 6 months to a year. And those are people who walk around and help out the one-time volunteers. We also have volunteers who are monitoring water quality in our freshwater wetland, which is localized to this site.
This is a water quality multi-probe. And what we have on here is temperature, salinity, oxygen, and this hooks up to a data logger. So right now I have it following the temperature. And this data logger records these parameters probably 3 or 4 times a second. So we can put it in a nearshore water body, particularly if we know the time and the tidal cycle, and monitor the water quality. So what we're looking at here is this ephemeral wetland. This wetland receives a lot of the runoff from this island, and then it slowly seeps in. It sort of feeds a temporary freshwater lens under the dune. So this is called the bob. It also has a weather station, so it measures air temperature, wind speed, and wind direction. This could record data for up to 24 hours, but it's sort of a fragile buoy. We can't put it out in where there's any type of surf here. I'm hoping in Biscayne National Park that we can put it off Convoy Point or Black Point, where the park has done a lot of restoration, and we can monitor nearshore water quality where they're doing the restoration near the mangroves. To measure pollution is a broad category. We can test the water for nitrates and nitrites. The real key here is temperature, salinity, and oxygen, because the oxygen gets depleted and goes down when there is pollution in the water, and we get what we call hypoxic or dead zones. And that's what the park is trying to manage for, is these hypoxic or low oxygen areas. So low oxygen can be an indication of too many nutrients running into the water. The best thing to do would be put it in 3 days in a row for every 2 weeks. And then that you would get spring and neap tides, you would get high and low tides, so you would be able to capture the variability of that site. Hopefully this instrument can give us a long-term site information about where the park has been putting a lot of money into restoration. And the Biscayne Bay Coastal Wetland Restoration Project and diverting the canals and things like that.
The site also encompasses a dune which was restored last year by volunteers, planting over 35,000 sea oats, and it's a sea turtle nesting habitat. They actually just went to walk around to take a look at the beach, but because these volunteers are so amazing, they also decided to pick up trash from the beach as well. We do regular beach cleanups here, usually about once a month, and we generally log all of the trash that we find as well with a smartphone app called Marine Debris Tracker. It can be downloaded from Google Play or from the Apple Store, and all you have to do is, it works like a shopping cart. Once you download it, you just hit the plus sign and add trash to your shopping cart, and then at the very end you hit submit and you can log in with a username and then you become your very own marine debris tracker. That app is managed by a lab at the University of Georgia at Athens. And so the principal investigator from that lab uses that information for her research. We also use it here in Miami to decide where we could best put interpretive signage to prevent litter from entering the waterway to begin with.
That's garbage that we just picked up from the beach in these 2 buckets and in the bag.
Just now it was on the beach.
Just now.
How often do you guys go out?
This is my first time volunteering here at this particular beach, so this was awesome. This was great.
It's contagious. You gonna tell your friends?
Yes, I am, for sure. I'll be back.
It feels good.
So what happens before the volunteer effort here? This was all filled with dredge material, and on top of that, and you see it behind me, is this Australian pine. The problem with Australian pine is it's invasive, and so it comes from somewhere else. And in this case, it doesn't provide a food source for any native wildlife. It doesn't provide a place for birds to nest. If you look at the branches of Australian pine, they're very kind of wobbly and they're diagonal, so they're not the best for birds for shelter. And so what we want to do is want to bring in native plants. The reason for that is that they provide a food source. Native plants provide a food source for native animals. They provide shelter, so some of the bigger trees provide a place for birds to nest, for reptiles to live in. And what's kind of neat too is that they're all very hurricane and drought resistant. So the plants that are native here are much more adapted to heavy winds, hurricanes, than the Australian pine behind us. I think Key Biscayne residents will remember what Hurricane Andrew did to the Australian pine on Bill Baggs. It knocked them all over, and that was quite catastrophic. So with native plants, they're a lot better to withstand these kind of environmental factors.
We do use an app for wildlife. It's called iNaturalist, and that app is managed by scientists at the California Academy of Sciences in San Francisco. And the way that works, you download the app, you take a picture of an animal. You don't need to be able to identify the animal. The app pulls your GPS information straight from your phone, and then scientists later can identify the animal for you if you were unable to do it on your own. When you log an animal into iNaturalist and ask for ID help, once a scientist identifies it for you, you'll be sent an email that says this person has commented on your post. So it's a lot like Facebook in that way. You just get an email, someone's commented, you can take a look at it, and then you can learn more about that species. So the best way to get in touch is to go to our website. It is http://miamisci.org/MUVE, MUVE, which stands for Museum Volunteers for the Environment. There's a tab on our website that says Get Involved. You just click on that. You can sign up for specific dates, learn exactly what we're doing on those dates, or you can just ask for general information and it all comes to me. Alternatively, people are welcome to email me. My email is cking, K-I-N-G, @frostscience.org, and my work number is 305-646-4243.